Taking that leap and starting a project is a huge act of courage. And there's another moment that takes another act of courage within your journey, and that's crossing the threshold. It's that moment that you understand that you either can choose comfort and go back to the way things were, or you dive deeper into the unknown. That's what we're going to be talking about today. This is the Infinite Loops. I'm Christina Damshin-Spina, and we're talking about continuous improvement. And I just finished my Sprint 5 on Agile workshops, and I ran into this moment of crossing the threshold. It's anytime that you're feeling that barrier of getting stuck somewhere or spinning in your wheels a little bit, and you have to go through the act of breaking through and creating an advancement in your skills as well as your courage in order to push through. And there's three major components to going through this successfully: dealing with change, playing, and creating systems to lead you forward. To start with change, I'll talk about my experience in this last sprint. My main goal was to build 2 agile workshops, and the purpose was to learn. I'll show you real quick what these workshops were. I essentially combined interval workout training with agile, and it was like a little brain workout where we moved through these brainstorm activities as a group in 30 minutes. And my main purpose was just to experiment with this, see what it was like leading a group virtually in this style. And even though that primary goal was about learning, I had noticed that there was a drop in my post engagement. And I started to get a little worried about that. Oh, am I doing the right thing? Am I going down the wrong path? Am I wasting my time? And the key is to deal with it right away. That's negative self-talk. It's your emotional response. And as soon as you address it, you can move forward. Largely, this comes from, again, your brain protecting your body. It's trying to make sure that you're driven away from pain and discomfort and in that safe zone. It relates to anxiety and fear. And sometimes it's easy to tell because it's that self-talk that's going through your head. Other times it manifests in other ways, like physically within your body, getting a lot of tension. And the common thing we do is just push through those feelings and repress it because we're like, that's not a big deal. I just thought that I might fail. Or I just had a bad day. It's no big deal. But then those small bits add up. You end up lashing out on somebody, maybe your partner at home or your kids, because you're not dealing with these tensions. And it's not just you, it's your team members. We kind of think of change management as something that, oh, it has to be this big company that has a change management department or someone specialized in it. No, we have emotional responses to change all of the time. It's just sometimes those are really big changes that could be disastrous if it's not mitigated correctly. And other times, like small instances in this one, it means that I might pursue a different project or just bury the emotions that I'm feeling about it, because ultimately it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Getting it out and talking about it or writing about it, if you're doing something on your own, is the key to that change management. Recognize your emotions, deal with it, and then you can release them and they don't have to carry with you through your next stages. So that's key. That's the first step. Once you have succeeded in that, you can successfully move on to play. Everyone loves play, right? You get to kind of get into your kid-like stage. This is about imagining all these possibilities, getting out of that, oh, I'm stuck. Look at different ways you can approach the problem. For me, I realized through a brainstorm activity, which I was totally a kid. I used markers, I was doing mind maps. the common theme was that I needed to hone in on my audience. And I eventually said, all right, I have two main audiences I'm going to target within the Infinite Loops content. One is going to be those looking to do personal branding or career search, because ultimately that's what I'm trying to do. So if I'm creating resources for myself, I can easily share those out. And then the other is managers, hopefully those who would hire me, but also those who need to utilize my skills in coaching, particularly virtually. Now, I called out that I did mind mapping, but another great thing to do is making connections with data. And that's where doing some research really comes in handy. Once I had said, all right, I'm going to be working on those who are career searching, I started listing out industries and signing up for newsletters. This top image is an example of a newsletter from Women in Product, and they're looking for resources. So they lay out here, if you have resources in building relationships, submit them. That's very close to what I had created with the Agile workshop. So I just need to refine that, and then I can submit it to get more engagement and exposure. The other thing is industry reports. So this bottom one is from Coursera, and it's a skills report by industry. What's interesting about this is I can see what skills are in demand within various industries and what is falling behind. So I know that they're in need of project managers, and there's a lot of skill training within communication. So they want that tactical element of how to move through project management, but the leadership component is missing. So that's a value add that I could really be building up in some of my content and demonstrating how those leadership moments, or even creating these moments of play, can be really, really beneficial for the team. Once play is finished, oh boo, we'll be back to it later though. We move on to systems. This is coming up with ways that you weave everything together. How do you take the learnings for your emotional response and your team's emotional response and fold that into how you will carry out work in the future? Be sensitive to their needs. And then, of course, filling in the creative, the logistical, and coming out with ways that you can carry it forward efficiently. For my last sprint, I know that I needed to focus in on those audiences. And ultimately, I have this goal of building a portfolio of resources. And I was able to create a new Miro board where I can really see visually what's going on here. Now, this would have been easier to create in a spreadsheet. I actually do have a spreadsheet of this, but because I'm so focused on Agile, I wanted to continue this trajectory and build out an Obaya board where I can see everything and do my planning. This, I blacked out what my goals are. So you can't see it, but you can see I have my sprints and general information there. And then I've started to construct a resource library where I can indicate what audiences I'm targeting. So for my sprint planning, I can come in here and very easily visually see what I am potentially missing an opportunity on and where I want to focus next. And it's important, again, that I'm doing it within Miro because that's supporting my values. Of a key value point I have in this channel is pursuing my passions, and Agile is a big part of that. When I'm using Miro, I'm supporting a very specific tool for collaboration and Agile systems, and it also allows me to demonstrate my skill. And I wouldn't have landed on this spot if I didn't keep on going, if I didn't push through and cross that threshold. It's just a reminder, it's so natural to meet that resistance and either blame yourself or blame external circumstances that you have no control over. And it's a supporting reminder to continue, keep your head in the game, and focus. Let's go over what loops are in store next. First, a moment of celebration. I have been at this for 15 weeks or 3 months, a little bit over 15 weeks. And that's a huge achievement. The main thing I have worked on is essentially creating my MVP. When I first started, there wasn't a bunch of pre-planning work. Day one is when I jumped in, and I've been figuring out this all along. I have moved my brand, I'll show you again, from, this was my website when I first got going. I got this done in the first month. So I was using this kind of flower of life, and I had been using this green color. And over time, I discovered, well, I have a lot of play in my brand, so I need to be having these colors. And I wanted to make the flower of life symbol more subtle. And so that's when I started to play around with it being in the lower corner of things and being more subtle. All of those contribute to having a clear message in what I'm trying to communicate for my brand. I also am honing in on what my product is, which is largely around the Miro boards and creating templates for other people to use. Eventually, I'll get together an index library. I'm actually working on that right now, like public facing. The next loop, though, I am excited to be announcing I am taking a little bit of a break and doing a personal sprint. A break for me still involves agile. I'm excited. I have a long list of things that I want to be doing on a regular basis personally that I haven't gotten to that habit stage yet. So I've made like a tracker, and I'm going to be monitoring some of my habits and figuring that out. I'm also going to be doing the listening path, which is a workshop, self-led workshop on listening and the creative art of attention. All of those things should help really deepen my next steps in expressing my identity within the infinite loops and creating some really powerful content. I'm excited about that. So thanks for supporting me on this journey. I'm excited to hear about yours. So comment below and tell me how this resonates with you. Thanks, and see you on the next loop.